On Wall Street, they are not ringing any bells, but something major is under progress behind the scenes. Among the largest firms in America, quietly sliding across the border to Canada, not with headlines, not a primetime coverage program, recently left regarding taxes, political philosophy, alternatively something more profoundly troubling and deeper. None of the media covers this, but we are indeed. And believe me, the names on this list really reflect they will cause you to stop dead cold. Also, the causes might cause you to consider what made in America even denotes going forward. Turning now to number 6, Coca-Cola. Certainly, king of American soda. For more than a century, road vacations, baseball games, and summer BBQs all included the red and white emblem. But let me guess what. Coca-Cola is gradually ghosting the US like a former partner gone silent. Not press releases, not a farewell tour, just a brand new gleaming packing facility opening in Ontario. Quietly finalized in Quebec are new aluminum deals. Under close observation. Why therefore the clever action? Well, Coca-Cola's manufacturing expenses flew out of control when the US imposed hefty taxes on aluminium. Billions of dollars were online, hence they discovered a loophole: travel north, keep quiet, and cut expenses instead of hemorrhaging money. Still, this goes beyond simply Coke cans. This action is undermining American employment, and the label on your Coke might begin to show "Made in Canada" as your food cost climbs. Stay close. This transcends sugar and bubbles quite a bit. 5th, General Motors GM wasn't touchable once upon a time. Detroit's pride is strong, the muscle underlining the American dream. Buicks were presumably built by your grandfather. Your uncle was a Chevy driver. Perhaps one member of your family still does. 2025, however, the rusting of that heritage is rapid. Though GM is gradually, silently moving its center of gravity to Canada, nobody is discussing it. You would assume the foundation of American industry would be downswinging. Yet GM, there is not fighting among them. They are engaged in chess, and every action points north. Allow me to break it out. GM runs off components, thousands of them, from thousands of vendors. But the supply chain costs soared when the U.S. doubled down on steel and aluminium tariffs, imposing a crushing 50% levy on Canadian imports by mid-2025. Prices for cars shot skyward. The truth is, you cannot mark up an SUV worth $40,000 the way you do a $2 Coke. People stopped shopping in America. GM blinked as a result, then softly said, "Let's try Canada." It began gradually, new investments in GM Canada totaling around $2.6 billion starting in 2020. Sounds mild, right? But pay closer attention. St. Catharines has electric car drive units. Together with POSCO, a brand new cathode battery plant in Bécancour, Quebec will cost over $1 billion. This goes beyond mere expansion. This is an exit plan with extended terms. Back home in the US, the narrative is different. Plants slow down. Some are completely closing down. About 1,100 employees of Ingersoll were let go in April 2025 so the facility could retool for new models. Translation then, we are temporarily closed. Perhaps we will get back to you. Usually there is a spoiler alert. They hardly do. Canada's hiring frenzy is under full force meanwhile. GM is grabbing Ontario and Quebec engineers, particularly for smart manufacturing, automation, and EV software, paying well and future-proof employment. Where do you suppose GM's next innovation hub will be located? Detroit no longer is what it once was. And let PR deceive you as well. GM claims on record to be dedicated to American employment, but on the ground, every dollar they spend in Canada reduces Flint or Lansing's future building capability. And it aches. Desperately. Towns start to fall apart when factories go silent. Store near. Schools becoming smaller. Property values crash. Families said farewell. And hopes? It merely fades away. The worst of all is this. Politics is not the focus of this, not some kind of demonstration here. It is arithmetic. Business is what this is about. If Canada provides less red tape, less expensive parts, and a quicker road to manufacture, why stay in the anarchy? The beginning is yet to come. Indeed, the GM badge still sparkles outside of Texas or Ohio showrooms. The truth is, though, the mines, the batteries, the creativity, the Great White North is hosting more and more of it. No, it is not betrayal either. Business it is. Still let that soak in, though. What do you suppose smaller businesses will do if General Motors, the godfather of American cars, is gradually packing and moving north? They neither walk, they will sprint. 4th on Alcoa Corporation, you find it nowhere on billboards. Daily headlines do not feature it in great frequency. Still, trust me, this one counts. Lots. Since behind every drink can, automobile body, aircraft wing, refrigerator door, and skyscraper panel, one item runs across all: aluminum. More and more of it as well. Made in Canada is the stamped label. A company that has been the pillar of American business for more than a century, Alcoa is gradually disappearing. Moreover, hardly anyone is discussing it. This is not about fiddling logistics or cutting expenses. It is a deliberate, full-on retreat. Let me dissect it. Alcoa suffered a terrible triple of problems in 2025: skyrocketing electricity prices, antiquated and failing U.S. smelters, and the worst of all, a 25% tariff the United States imposed on imported aluminum. Yeah, you are correct. The system is so inverted, we are penalizing our own supply network. And what then did Alcoa do? They ran north, silently, not even a single fireworks display. None of anything said, merely flow. There slows down a port in Houston, Montreal lights up in front of us, Texas starts to lose night shifts. In Quebec, a fresh line opens up rapidly. A billion-dollar smelter renovation scheduled for Baie-Comeau is put on hold. But hydropower agreements carried to 2040. That is not passing through transient. That plays on a long term. And the worst thing most people overlook is metal is not flashy. It does not follow any trend, but it guides your life. Your phone, your vehicle, frames for your windows, your dining area, all of them. Alcoa's base of operations being moved over the border, that wave strikes close by quickly. Layoffs in areas where smelters once blazed around the clock. Miners curious as to why the next shipment isn't arriving. Not because demand declined, but rather because the raw material is now smelted in Quebec and sent back into the United States. Truck drivers informed there is no road today, including Alcoa. They are not secret about it. Most people will never read buried deep in investor papers and quarterly calls. They have said it themselves. Their $20 million loss from tariffs in the first quarter of 2025 is already by Q2. They predict that figure to soar to $90 million. Third on the list is Campbell Soup. You indeed read correctly. Even soup is missing from town. Campbell, the red and white label we have all known from growing up. The pleasant hug in a bowl, quietly filling its cans and headed north, the brand that has resided in every cupboard for centuries is disappearing. Not some fading 90s relic riding into the sunset here. This food behemoth with multi-billion-dollar turnover has had enough. Enough of the growing expenses for Americans, enough of the anarchy in policies, enough of shelling out top money simply to remain American. And here comes the dirty part. Campbell's products comprise over 90% in aluminum cans. It therefore did not only hurt a little when the U.S. imposed a hefty 25% tax on Canadian aluminum and subsequently boosted prices on top of that, it crashed onto them hard. Aluminum is not produced by Campbell. Consumers purchase it, and such expenses do not vanish when their vendors hike rates. They pass straight to you, manifest as more grocery expenses. But consumers of Campbell's? They are not customers of luxury goods. Families, students, retirees, people who feel every dollar are among them. A 10-cent increase for a can might not sound like much until you consider it across a grocery cart and a limited monthly budget. At that point, Campbell had to make a terrible decision: increase costs and risk losing devoted consumers. Alternatively, relocate part of their operations somewhere less expensive, where the aluminum is reasonably priced, the power is consistent, and the policies are not changing every 5 minutes. Try to guess the choice they choose. There was not a press conference. A heart-tugging advertisement does not have any sad music. Just a little change of direction. Contracts on packaging began to float toward Ontario. Job advertising started showing up in Toronto and London, Ontario rather than England. There is not a sprint here. That is a slow, consistent slide. Still, the direction is absolutely apparent, and it is not headed south. To be honest, this is far more than simply soup cans. On your kitchen shelf, that modest little Campbell's can, it belongs to a much more extensive environment: Ohio's label printer, Michigan's carrot farmer. The Pennsylvania pallet-carrying truck driver is delivering goods to your neighborhood business. When Campbell pushes even some of its manufacturing outside of the United States, entire towns are rocked. Let us discuss money. Campbell had to change their expected increase in 2025, reducing estimates from 11% to approximately 6 to 8%. Second on the list is Tesla. Yes, Tesla. The corporation that once yelled "Made in America" with every gleaming new electric vehicle. The company that made electricity sexy and transformed tech dudes into car guys. It is currently whispering in French and drawing Ontario plans. Tesla is not only driving vehicles, moving borders is what it is. This is not an Elon meme performance or showy announcement. This is a planned, exact, data-driven plan. Looking around in 2025, Tesla noticed the writing on the wall. The American electricity system, regarding life support, energy costs, ascending, and projects with a billion-dollar budget, caught in red tape slow enough to match a dial-up connection. Tesla did not thus go on a tantrum. They changed their direction. Now consider Canada. Ontario and Quebec provided all the U.S. was not. Steady hydroelectric power, sustainable energy, fast-track clearance, availability of graphite, rare earth materials, and battery-grade lithium, the actual gold in the innovation competition of today. While U.S. initiatives became caught in years of environmental review and political deadlock, Tesla's Canadian activities were silently moving from planning to production like clockwork. Allow me to discuss manufacturers. Have you heard of Markham, Ontario? That is where the hub for Tesla's robot building activity is developing. Furthermore, it's not only a side effort, it is becoming the nerve core of Tesla's automated empire. There are hundreds of employment ads, engineer and control systems, software takes lead, people who love robotics. Then Elon, not one tweet specifically on it, not much fanfare, not a headline here, just silent development. You blink and then the Tesla building robots from Texas are not showing up. They are presenting from a lab just outside of Toronto. Also in Quebec, things get increasingly strong. From excavating lithium from the ground to refining and packaging it into battery cells, Tesla is striving to create a complete stack battery ecosystem. Not a dream, it is not, that is a plan, and it is working. The reason is, since Canada is essentially funding the future, a $52.5 billion federal provincial battery investment scheme almost specifically suited for corporations like Tesla. First among all, Ford. The firm that turned the globe on wheels is now guiding in a much different path. Furthermore, there is a spoiler alert, it is not towards Detroit. Ford, the legacy, the mark of blue-collar pride, the name imprinted across American muscle generations. Indeed, they recently put $2.3 billion into Oakville, Ontario, not even Michigan, not Ohio though, neither Texas nor anything else. Ontario. The goals are turn out more of Ford's golden child, the F-Series Super Duty trucks, among the most often used, most profitable workhorses in the firm. Now also, it is under development in Canada's backyard. Ford was silently rewriting the pattern of American manufacturing while others were still debating gas against electric in comment sections. But it turns juicier. Originally, Oakville was set up to go all in on electric vehicles, more precisely electric SUVs. The EV frenzy subsequently began to calm. Battery prices shot out of control. And Ford also, they brought the brakes down hard. Electric vehicles ambitions postponed until 2027. Rather, they are doubling down on what sells now. Large, gas-powered trucks. And where can they create them less hassle, less expensive, faster? Ontario. Run on 90% pure hydroelectric power. Coined under government incentives. Free of never-ending bureaucracy. Ford is not abandoning America, let me be clear. When the math stops adding up, they are simply doing what any intelligent company does. Plants grown in the United States are crowded. Energy costs are a circus. Negotiations on labor, regular brinkmanship. Canada is laying the red carpet in meantime. Ontario presented $500 million incentives, akin to a kind of welcome gift basket. Ford answered without delay, and the outcome is as follows. 1,800 fresh Canadian jobs, contractors moving northward in supplier terms, and American little communities seeing their chance at wealth fading out like the taillights of a truck moving north. There's not a headline-grabbing shutdown here. Industrial migration is like a trickling drip. Still, make no mistake, it is as terrible. Thus, the next time you see an F-150 speeding by, glance at the label, since the next face of built Ford tough might just have a Canadian accent. And suddenly you have seen it, 6 American behemoths calmly, systemically relocating their kingdoms across the border. This is not afraid-mongering. This is your call to wake.